IPMNation.com.
Good morning. Once again, just about time. All natural being. Here we go.
All natural being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Good day. I was going to say good morning, but we're told now that people are listening to All Natural Being, the number one show here on IPMNation.com, listening all hours of the day and night. And even though we do the show live, that's right, live every morning, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have rebroadcast at 11 Eastern and also 8 p.m. Eastern. There's people tuning in around the clock via iTunes or even just downloading the podcast version from IPMNation.com. So I want you to know wherever you are, whenever you're listening live or a pseudo-live, a taped version of the show, I wanted you to know that most times, not all times, right? I'm human, but most times, my bottom line, my first priority is your last day. Right? Who wants to leave this world with a sense of regret? Who wants to reach their final hour, whenever that hour is, and look back over their life? You see these studies where people say that if you interview people in later stages in life or even on their deathbed, when they look back, it isn't the things that they've done that they regret. It's the things that they didn't do, the things that they didn't embrace, the challenges they didn't go after. So for me, and for the people that tune in to listen to All Natural Being, it's my goal to make sure that you are far outside the clutches of regret, whenever it may come. So my number one mission, really my only mission, with All Natural Being is to make certain, beyond any doubt whatsoever, to guarantee that if you hang out together with me on my show, your confidence is going to make a huge comeback. Because when you're able to channel your true all-natural confidence, you don't have to worry about regret in life. Because the only key to living a life that thrills you is your confidence. Think about it. Plain and simple. Your happiness, success, and fulfillment, be it personally, professionally, athletically, spiritually, depends on your ability to channel your confidence, or as I call it, to bring your own bold. So my gig throughout All Natural Being, I want to make you homesick for who you truly are, to stir in you a sense of nostalgia for who you truly are. Because if we can reconnect with your all-natural being, then you have a life that thrills you. You're absolutely capable of leading, as I say from time to time, a truly euphoric life. Because we weren't put here to be melancholy. We most certainly weren't put here to be maligned. We weren't put here to be sad or disconnected. We are here to lead a truly euphoric life, one that grabs your spine, one that quickens your heart, one that leaves you absolutely outside the clutches of regret. So now that we got that out of the way, you should know that that is my underlying vision for All Natural Being, is simply to remind you who you already are. And I think that's the reason our show is still number one after all these episodes, after these first couple of months, is because it truly is a show about you. And it's easy in this day and age, with everything going on in the media, with everything going on in life, it's easy to forget who we truly are. It's easy to buy into everyone saying, oh, you're just, life is tough. Nah, not really. Not, it really isn't. Oh, all the unhappiness, all the strife, all the uncertainty in the world, you should be petrified. This is a part of the other evening, and the topic of the petrified forest came up. And I thought about that word again, petrified. The dorsal dive that mammals take when they think they're being confronted by a threat. They're being victimized. They're being viewed as prey. The dorsal dive that so many people take because they think life is insurmountable. They think the challenges are too great. And they don't think that they fit in and that their natural resources, their all-natural being, is able to rise to the challenge. Look around. It's unbelievable to me, as it probably is to you. When you look at the number of people that are suffering from anxiety, suffering from stress, suffering from unhappiness, which is why the anaerobic aphorism for this morning is what it is. For those certain in their ability to successfully engage uncertainty, stress and anxiety never gain a foothold. So here's what we're going to do in today's show. I got 4 different topics we want to cover, so I'm going to state them right up front so that I don't get sidetracked. And we'll get to the top of the hour and I'll be like, oh man, I didn't get a chance to cover that. So here's what we're going to do in today's show. We're going to talk about philosophical pampering, or the concept of being comfortable in your own skin. One of my favorite ones. Second topic is going to be the love of laziness. If you're familiar with Blaise Pascal, the quote where he says, most of humankind's ailments come from our inability to be able to sit quietly alone in a room. So we're going to talk in this segment about the love of laziness and what that little bit of solitude, kicking back, what that can do for the human head, the human heart, the all-natural being as a package. The third segment, we want to talk about the gift of uncertainty and why confusion, even though it gets a bad rap, confusion, uncertainty, chaos, it's just a call to adventure, just a different way of taunting you, of challenging you to go, come on, you can handle this. Got to bring your A game. Can't sit on the sidelines forever. So the gift of uncertainty and why it is that those certain in their ability to successfully engage the uncertainty of the future. For those folks, stress and anxiety never gains a foothold because no matter what fate throws at you, wild-eyed fate, no matter what fate throws at you, you're going to be able to handle it. And then in the fourth segment, I called it go with the flow, but dig the eddies. Or the old saying that I remember from early on in martial arts, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So before we get into that, I want to thank, again, the good folks at IPM Nation, the good folks at Metropolitan Co-working in beautiful downtown Aurora, Illinois, home of 14 Blends. And I also want to thank, as we do, I believe we do it on Mondays each week, but I want to thank the top 10 cities for tuning in and supporting not only All Natural Being, but some of the other great shows that are here on IPM Nation. I want to think that they all tune in just for this. But I thought I'd go over and mention the top 10 cities. Manchester, New Hampshire, of course. Boston, Massachusetts. Rochester. Chicago, Illinois. New York, New York. New York, New York. Is there an echo? Aurora, Illinois. Dover, New Hampshire. Cleveland, Ohio. Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and Washington, D.C. Thank you for everyone listening from those cities and doing what you've done, especially for our show. Again, is making it the #1 show here on IPM Nation. So, we're going to go ahead and get into it again this morning, simply looking, because it is an art form, but looking at an art form of philosophical pampering, because I don't believe we do it enough. I don't believe we take the time to be our own biggest fan. I don't believe we take enough time to get off our own backs, to be our own best friend. And to me, that's terribly important, because when you can do that, you lead a life that truly thrills you. No questions asked. All right, so let's get into it. We call it taking time for yourself. And one of the fastest ways to be able to do that is through a concept called the 20-second victory. We've talked about it before. Breathe in, exhale, scan your horizon, and then take action. But what specifically can you do right now, guaranteed, to pamper not just your head, but your heart, your body, your lungs, your brain? What can you do to pamper the whole package? And if you have a stopwatch, if not, you can just take my word for it for now. But if you have a stopwatch and you have a chance to time it, one of the biggest, most profound aspects of the 20-second victory is the full breath cycle. And the reason that I picked 20 seconds as opposed to 30 or 45 or the like is that if you take a full, deep inhale, as deep as you can possibly take it, and then you exhale slowly, exhaling every bit of the breath that's in your lungs, pulling your stomach all the way back towards your spine, fully exhaling every bit. That cycle takes about 20 seconds. So let's just try it for a second. Imagine you're going to draw in as deep a breath as you possibly can. So you go ahead, you draw in that breath. I'll count for you. Ready? Let's begin. 1, 1,000. 2, 1,000. 3, 1,000. 4, 1,000. 5, 1,000. 6, 1,000. 7, 1,000. 8, 1,000. 9, 1,000. 10. Now, let's start with the exhale. 1, 1,000. 2, 1,000. 3, 1,000. 4, 1,000. 5, 1,006. 1,007. 1,008. 1,009. 20 seconds. So you might feel a little lightheaded if this is the first time you've practiced a full cycle of breath. But here's what I know had to happen right there in that 20 seconds. You had to focus in order to be able to do the drill. You had to focus on the feeling of your breath coming in, the feeling of your breath going out. And if you did that, then your whole body was like, hey, what just happened there? That was a full breath. That was breathing the way the lungs intend it. What was that? That felt pretty good. You know, if you go to a spa to be pampered, and you get a massage, and you get some hot rocks, and you get some oils or some incense, and you physically pamper the body. Let me ask you, what do you do to physically pamper your brain, your mind, your philosophy? Well, it begins with a 20-second victory. And the beauty of it is you can do it throughout the course of the day. We talk all the time, whether it's impromptu, right? Improvised, you're out and about, moving around, you find a way that you can take in the events at hand, the moment at hand. Or is it intended? Can you plan it throughout your day? Maybe set an alarm on your phone, on your tablet, even on your computer. And at random times of the day, maybe every 4 hours. Every 4 hours an alarm goes off, and all you do when that alarm goes off, 10-second inhale, 10-second exhale. And watch what happens to the body when you do. Watch what happens to the body when you do. Now, it can be spur of the moment, as we said, or it can be scheduled. Doesn't take away, when you do it, doesn't take away from the power of the 20-second victory. It's a way of pampering yourself, getting your body and your mind in tune, as we say, dovetailing your heart and your head. And it's one of the first steps in the ability to live for the moment, which is why it's a part of the 20-minute victory, 20-minute optimization, if you prefer that. But when we take in that deep breath and we exhale, no matter what fate throws at us, that physical mannerism of a full inhale and a full exhale shows that we're agile, most certainly quick-witted, light on our feet, because we have the ability to improvise. As I said earlier, no matter what fate throws at us, we can square our shoulders and go, nope, I got this. Breathe in, exhale, scan your horizon, and then take action. And the ability, what I call the ability to be impeccably human, a fully functioning human being, channeling your all-natural being, wonderfully whole, with a fidelity to both heart and head. It begins where you're able to take in as deep a breath as possible and exhale that same breath, making room for the next breath. So I know it's popular today to talk about meditation and mindfulness and just back-breaking, knee-crushing. You got to find pillows. You got to hold your fingers this way. You have to do all these other things. But what meditation is, what mindfulness truly is the ability for you to let the rest of your body know who's calling the shots. Do you work for your mind? Are you subject to its mercurial attitudes, its mercurial emotions, its mercurial temperaments? Or does your mind work for you? That's the question. Because when you're impeccably human, you're all-natural being, you know exactly the answer to that question. You know that most certainly you're not derailed by the uncertainty of the future. Therefore, stress and anxiety never gain a foothold inside of you. Because in this moment, taking in that deep breath, exhaling fully, calming down all the senses, calming down all the chemicals coursing through our body, again, the fight, the flight, the freeze, we decide in that moment, no, the chemicals aren't going to use us. We're going to use the chemicals. We're going to be the one in charge. Now, there's another benefit, in addition to telling the body, look, I'm the one that's going to be running the show, at least this portion of it. It's a great way to detoxify your mind. Look, just as much as you draw in that breath into the lungs, you draw in that deep breath, and then you exhale. And as you exhale, you pull your belly button, your navel, all the way to the back of your spine. You collapse so that all that bad air gets out of you. You're detoxifying the stale, the stagnant, the dusty air, if you will, in your lungs. Same thing with your mind. Your brain loves the oxygen, absolutely digs it. It makes your head heartier, helps you regain the mental toughness that is your birthright. It helps in terms of detoxifying. Imagine like removing the philosophical pesticides that pile up throughout the course of your day, throughout the course of your past. The baggage that we always talk about. We say in the opening, a philosophical loofah, philosophical jackhammer, if that's what it takes. But it reconnects you with that mental toughness. Because no matter what's going on in the outside world, you're going to sit there, take in a deep breath, exhale, scan the horizon, take action. You're going to bring your best. And that's what begins to detoxify your mind. Both the biological action, the physical action of the breath, and the philosophical pampering of going, no, I'm worth it. I can take 20 seconds now to draw in a deep breath and exhale fully, to breathe like I mean it. Because that's what makes your head heartier. 20 seconds. You don't necessarily have to have a special place. You don't necessarily have to have a special time of day, although you might. We're going to get to that in the next segment, the love of laziness. But in the moment, so we always say, impromptu or intended, scheduled or spur of that moment. Pamper yourself. Take 20 seconds out of your day to give your lungs and the rest of your body, really put it through its all-natural paces. Breathe. Inhale and exhale like you mean it, you're going to feel it right away. I absolutely promise. And that's the guarantee all the time that I say, because I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a shrink, I'm not a psychologist, a licensed clinical, anything. Here's what I am. I'm a fan of yours. That's it. You need more of a street cred than that? You need more credential? This show's probably not going to be for you. But I'm on your side even when you're not. Because I know of your all-natural being. I know what sits inside of you, covered by all the conditioning, covered by all the blind spots, all the amnesia. Which really, when you think about it, amnesia gets its hold because we have an apathetic attitude towards life. Apathy is what causes our mental muscles to atrophy. Just like a broken bone, you break your leg skiing, you put it in a cast, you get the cast off 6 weeks later, what's happened to the muscle? It's atrophied. It's wasted away because we're not putting it through its natural range of motion. Well, it's the same with our minds. We go through life, oh well, I guess I'm just supposed to be unhappy. I guess I'm not supposed to just really live a thrilled life. I hear Brian all the time talking about living euphorically, smiling like you mean it, which begins with breathing like you mean it. Smiling like you mean it, that's not for me. That's for other people. Baloney. That's just more crazy talk. Literally, that's more crazy talk. That's a part of the brainwashed you. That's the part of you riddled with blind spots. But I am absolutely certain when you take time to start philosophically, psychologically pampering yourself, you're going to feel this. You will have reconnected with the most powerful parts of you. And then, as I say all the time, there you go. You don't have to listen to me. I'm asking for one 20-second victory today. Test it out. If it feels right, give yourself another 20-second victory. Perhaps even give yourself a 20-minute victory. And I know it's like I slam goals from time to time. But there is one goal that I dig. And that's being in this moment. The goal. The bucket list of the next 60 seconds. What is nature throwing at you? What is fate throwing at you? Because I wholeheartedly believe that everything you've ever needed, you've always had. And this moment, when you dovetail your heart, your head, your brain, your body, with the borders of who you are, in this moment, the universe unfolds as it needs to. You unfold as you need to. So if you're going to get into a goal-setting strategy, how about a goal-setting strategy of sticking in this moment? That the carrot of the end of the stick is this moment. Trust in yourself. Be courageous enough that the uncertainty that lies outside of this moment is something that you're certain you can handle. And when you do that and you channel your all-natural being, you're going to feel it. And that's why I'm able to guarantee this. You will absolutely sense who you've always been and then decide that today is the day you get off your own back. All right, we'll be right back.
IPMNation.com.
IPMNation.com. Independent, provocative, mobile, just like your mind should be. Independent mind. You should provoke yourself at every turn. And I'll tell you, if you stay in the labyrinth, if you stay in this moment, the labyrinth will do what it can to provoke you. And then you got to be mobile. That's the agility we were talking about earlier. That's the quick-wittedness, being light on your feet. Because no matter what fate throws at you, you're ready to go. So when everyone tries to insure against the uncertainty of the future, one, you can't. There you go. That's so we can put that beside. Ding, 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 ding. Over. Can't guarantee that we're going to be here tomorrow. But what we can guarantee is that in this moment, we're going to live it euphorically. We're going to live it fully. We're going to put our body and our brain, we're going to put our soul and our mind through their all-natural paces. And one of the ways to do that, Let's go on now. We'll move on to the second topic I wanted to kick around today, called the love of laziness. We mentioned the philosopher Blaise Pascal's quote, that everything that ails us stems from the fact that we can't sit still in a quiet room alone, just with our own thoughts. We have to be distracted. Has to be some type of answer to the agitation. So we pick up our phones, we grab our tablets, there was a noise. I got to go see what that noise was. I got to go, right? We're just distracted out of the moment. So I came across two really cool philosophies early on. One a good bit earlier on, and one just of late that I wanted to share with you. Now, the philosopher, Mortimer Adler, said, quote, "To speak of minds that are awake but purposeless. Imagine automobiles with engines turning over but not in gear, and so going nowhere. If we insist upon being busy all of the time, either in work or at play, we lose the spontaneous creativity that comes from idling." And I loved his term, idling. Not turning off your mind, not turning off the engine. You've just got, as George Thorogood used to say, no particular place to go. But the mind is still idling. No carrots, no sticks, no goals, no bucket lists, just breathing and idling. And I forget the name of his first book, but there's the former, I guess is a better way to say it, Google Engineer. It's written a couple different books on meditation and mindfulness. Chade Meng Tan has a term that I really love. It's called wise laziness. So whether we look at Mortimer Adler's idling or Meng's wise laziness, we're getting a pretty cool tip here on how to channel our all-natural being. I want to finish with a part of what Mortimer Adler had to say. The most profitable idling is the idling that occurs in the waking hours after work is done, especially if that work has a large component of leisure and is not mere toil. So we're working, then we want to take some time off to play. That's the leisuring he's speaking of. But it's still engaging the mind. It's still having the mind in drive. He goes on to say, we may do idling while walking home from work, while driving, or taking some other form of transportation. But if in that process we read newspapers or magazines, listen to music, or watch television, his belief was we prevent ourselves from idling. Quote, "The same holds for the time spent at home after work and before dinner. If the moment we have left work behind and have nothing to do until we sit down to dinner, if we keep ourselves busy by reading, watching television, or even chit-chatting, then we deprive ourselves of the advantages that are derived from idling." So, whether we look at Meng's wise laziness or we look at Adler's idling, that's something we can do even as a 20-second victory. We can do it right now, in this moment, 20 seconds. We're just idling, waiting to see what bubbles up. We've got no particular place to go. We're going to inhale. We're going to exhale. We're going to scan, see what our soul is causing to bubble up in our minds. And then we take action. Maybe the taking action is a function of another inhale, another exhale. Only you'll know in that moment. I don't know if you're familiar with the website bigthink.com. I really liked an essay that was written by Scott Barry Kaufman. He's a cognitive psychologist, Dr. Kaufman. The title is The Psychology of Solitude. Find meaning, mental health, in the beauty of silence. The article goes on to say, Echoing the English psychoanalyst David Winnicott, Scott Barry Kaufman explains that solitude is considered one of the greatest markers of psychological health because it means you are comfortable with you. And when you're alone with you, the silence and easy concentration that accompanies solitude is a gateway to living a deeper, more meaningful life, says Kaufman. And contrary to popular misconception, enjoying being alone doesn't make you a weirdo, a misanthrope, as the article says. On the contrary, being alone can help you find and solidify new ideas, which makes working in groups even more rewarding. With new ideas, you can contribute more to team efforts and group discussions, and will yield more fruit because there's going to be a greater diversity of ideas. Solitude, according to Kaufman, provides an essential balance to time with others. And the interplay of solitude and social time should move in cyclical patterns. So let me ask you, how are you with sitting alone in a quiet room with yourself? Are you comfortable in your own skin? And if not, why not? So let's just say that you said, you know what, Brian, I'm really not all that comfortable. Fantastic. Nothing wrong with that. We practice reconnecting with our all-natural being like you would any other skill. Learning to play the violin, learning to dance, learning to play golf, maybe football. It's a skill we learn. So in starting off with the desire to be comfortable in a room, alone, sitting there with our own thoughts, whatever they may be, we can start with one 20-second victory at a time. Just one. And if you've never done this before, imagine at the end of the day today, you're going to be able to say, no, I caught myself, I set an alarm, the alarm went off, and I took in a deep breath, as deep as I've ever drawn before, and I simply exhaled. That's it. I was comfortable in the moment with the thought of nothing more than an inhale and an exhale. That's meditation. That's mindfulness. Sorry, no more hocus pocus than that. No more Pollyanna nonsense than that. Deep breath in, deep breath out. We slowly start to build it. Progressive adaptation, just like a muscle, right? And I believe Dr. Kaufman is correct. If it truly is one of the greatest markers of psychological health, because it means you are comfortable with who you are, then to continue there, if you're uncomfortable, it's because you've forgotten who you are. When you tap into your all-natural being, when you tap into your inner superhuman, you're absolutely going to be comfortable. And we've said multiple times in the past that one tunnels in an attempt to bump into the other. So if you're going to commit to just one 20-second victory today, pamper yourself for just 20 seconds, then your soul is going to be stirred by that. And it's going to start moving towards you as well. Because if you take away anything from our time on All Natural Being, hanging out together here, know that your soul is absolutely fed up with sitting on the sidelines. It wants its life back. It knows its passion has a shelf life. So what's the freaking holdup? What are we waiting for? Some sense of perfectionism? I'll be happy down the road tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, next decade. Right now, in this moment, you have everything you've ever needed. Everything. All you have to do is tap into it. And it begins with a 20-second victory. Look, I wish it were like all these other meditation gurus and self-help experts and other snake oil salesmen and women. I wish there were more to it. But meditation is about giving yourself 20 seconds. That's it. That's what you can start with. If it builds into a minute, God love you. You throw 3 20-second victories together, God love you. Fantastic. Now you're on your way. But you can get the same benefit from being quiet. 20 seconds. Listening, feeling, sensing your inhale and your exhale. Be alone in your own mind, in your own body, for just that 20 seconds. And again, if the thought of sitting alone in a room, closing your eyes, and just go for 20 seconds, I'm not opening my eyes no matter what. Watch what happens. The egoic mind kicks in and goes, oh, I think that was the sound of a plane crashing in the backyard. I think the hot water heater just blew up. I'm pretty sure a SWAT team's kicking in the front door. Your egoic mind will do whatever it can to keep you for sitting for 20 seconds and just listening to the sound, feeling the sensation, breathing, inhaling and exhaling like you meant it. Egoic mind, it can't handle that. Why? Because as soon as you realize you're the one calling the shots, that the ego has been the fly in the ointment, that it's an interloper in your peace of mind. Ego isn't interested in your peace of mind. It wants its peace, P-I-E-C-E. It wants its piece of the limelight. It's not interested in peace of mind. It does everything it can to guarantee against it. So how do we beat it back? 20 seconds at a time. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. As we've said before, ego, thank you. There are times of day where it's cool, you being you, I get it, trying to watch out for me, but that time's not right now. For the next 20 seconds, take a break. Take a break. Take a quick time out. Go check the parking meter. Make sure your time hasn't run out. And in that moment, breathe in, exhale. Scan your horizon, take action. Be your best. And when you do that, then all this thing about, oh, you have to learn how to meditate, you just did. All this thing, oh, should you go on a mindfulness retreat? If you want to, sure. Why not? You don't need to. A mindfulness retreat can begin right where you are. And I've said countless times to the people that I work with, look, I've been in some pretty cool, exotic, out-of-the-way places. But you can still practice your 20-second victory. I most certainly still practice my 20-second victory in the middle of rush hour. Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock, on the elevated platform, the L, which is the subway system here in the city of Chicago. Thousands and thousands of people. Talk about the bustle. If you can't calm your brain in the bustle, then what good is calming it on some backwater, some backwoods? Did it happen overnight? No. I had to practice 20-second victory at a time. But if Kaufman's true, and solitude, the ability to handle yourself alone, no other distractions, if it really is one of the greatest markers of psychological health, then it's something you and I need to be doing. And we can do it one 20-second victory at a time. All right, I want to move right along to the third segment of the show. Let's do this real quick. Give me a 13-second break here. We'll be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. How much longer will you let them hijack your head and your heart?
Great question. How much longer are you going to let them, outside critics, or even your inner critic, all the negative self-talk, all the armies of the ego, how are you going to let them hijack your heart and your head? Which leads us to the gift of uncertainty, confusion as the call to adventure. And I often think of Rumi, the Sufi poet, Rumi. He said that learn the alchemy that true human beings know. And he would offer that the moment you and I accept the troubles that have been given to us, the door will open. Welcome difficulty as a familiar comrade is how he would call it. Joke with torment brought by the friend. Sorrows are the rags of old clothes and jackets that serve to cover, then are taken off. He also had a quote that said, a true human being isn't a human being. You and I could look at that and say a true human being, as the philosopher Kevin Kelly says, what if being human is a choice? There are plenty of human beings, but a true human being, an impeccable human being, is one that's dovetailed their heart and their head, that's connected to their all-natural being, that releases their inner superhuman. That's a true human being. And what did Rumi say? What's the alchemy that all natural beings know? We accept whatever fate throws at us. And the moment we do, that's when the door opens. We do exactly what he says. We accept difficulty as a familiar comrade, as a teacher, as a coach. We joke with torment brought by the friend. Because we know deep down inside, none of that can touch us. Which makes me think of people saying, they talk all the time about discomfort. Psychologists call it psychological discomfort or distress tolerance. For people that have a high distress tolerance, all natural beings, whatever distress comes, it comes. I'm good. People with low distress tolerance, everything derails them. You and I, we engage the suck. What does it matter? Can't affect us unless we act like it can, unless we invite it in, unless we sign for the package. But we don't avoid it. Because anxiety comes from avoidance. When we're confronted by those situations, in the labyrinth, those difficulties, and we turn our back, we find some way to distract ourselves. When we distract ourselves, we just stunt our growth. The difficulties are there to coach us, to teach us, to help us gain in strength and stamina, flexibility, agility. But we try to avoid it, try to distract ourselves from it. It stunts our growth. Most anxiety that we have in life comes from avoidance. And why is that? We avoid it because we forget who we are. Inner superhuman isn't worried about avoiding it. It's like, bring it, come on, let's go. But we're so busy running around for the cures for what ail us, we don't realize it's the search for the cure that ails us. Right? Because we confront it in the moment. It's like we think we have some immunity from the inconvenient. Is life always something to be happy about? No. Are there times that you should be unhappy? Absolutely. You take the good and the bad, the optimism and the pessimism. But we grow up with this sense that we should be inoculated from anything that's inconvenient. We develop a philosophical protectionism. We want these philosophical antiseptics. Right? You know, ambulance drivers and hospital workers, they use this antiseptic hand wash to make sure that they've cleaned their hands. Now, some doctors are telling us that we've used that to such a degree, we want an antiseptic to such a degree that the germs have evolved. They're better than our antiseptics. Well, we want the same thing, but we have philosophical. Oh, I can't entertain that thought. And then we ignore the truly caustic side effects of these philosophical antiseptics. Oh, I don't want any inconvenience. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want any of that. I have a low distress tolerance. I don't want to be distressed. Where did the philosophical protectionism come from? It's certainly not natural. It may be normal in our lives, but it's not natural. Enrichment for every human being comes from engaging it all. We're not worried about being buffered by the storm. We're into it. We want it. Bring it. Stress and anxiety never gain a foothold in us. We'll take whatever uncertainty. The Tao follows its own path. Thy will be done. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death. All of it. Because we're comfortable enough to sit alone in a room. We're comfortable in our own skin. We know who we truly are. What can future uncertainty do to us when you know who you truly are? What do you need to be protected from? What antiseptics do you need? Now, if you have thin skin, psychological discomfort gets right through. If you have all natural thick skin, not so much so. That's why I'm such a fan of the yin-yang symbol. You take the good with the bad. We talk about philosophical feng shui. How's that for a term? Our inner orienteering. The good and the bad. It all just is. And the trauma that comes in our lives comes from turning our back on the truth of the moment, whatever it yields. What if stress is a result of us constantly stalking comfort? What if that's what it is? Got to tell you, here in where I live, in the state of Illinois, where I live, we've had a heat wave the last couple of days. 98 degrees for a couple of days in a row. I'm loving it. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic. But we thought, you know what? I'm not ready for air conditioning yet. It just it's comfortable, but it brings its own, you know what I mean? I don't want to, let's not turn on the air conditioner. So we decided to open the windows, a couple ceiling fans. During the day when it was hottest, we kept some of the cool air that was already in the house. But you know what was wild? After the first day, it wasn't uncomfortable anymore. Then it rolled into the second day, 98 degrees. Wasn't too bad. Didn't have to turn the air conditioning on. Just in that little bit of time. The discomfort, the need for air conditioning fell away because it wasn't as bad. 98 degrees. Now, it wasn't 185% humidity, right? But we didn't turn the air conditioning on. This morning, 50-some degrees here. But what philosophical air conditioning do you turn on? Because you don't want to deal with the discomfort. Your distress tolerance is so low, you couldn't imagine it. What if stress is a result of constantly stalking comfort? Because you're built to handle comfort and discomfort. You're built to tolerate tremendous amounts of both happiness and success. What if that anxiety, what if the anxiety in your life comes because you're avoiding the now? You're avoiding the labyrinth in some Pollyanna optimistic nonsense about, it's always got to be great. I've always got to be happy. I can't wait until I'm enlightened because I'll always be enlightened. What's wrong with taking our bright sides and our dark sides? Our own internal yin-yang. I get emails all the time. I'm supposed to mention allnaturalbeing.com. Send me an email. I'll send you an email back. Keep in touch that way. 331-684-7685. 331-684-SOUL. You can send me a message there. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how this is working out. If you've done a 20-second victory, reach out, connect. Let me know what you're thinking. But what if our anxiety comes from our avoidance? We want to avoid uncertainty so we don't push ourselves. We don't tap into who we truly are. We don't engage the suck. We run from it. We're constantly looking for comfort. But maybe you and I weren't built for comfort. Maybe you and I weren't built for comfort. Maybe we're built to handle whatever uncertainty throws at us. That's what makes us impeccably human. When we're able to improvise, when we're quick-witted, when we're light on our feet, when we're resilient, not rigid. Oh, we got to be comfortable, got to be certain, got to be happy. What if we take the good with the bad? What if we admit that we're human? And even being impeccably human, that sometimes some of the negative emotions that bubble up, some of the anger that we have that bubbles up, people go, oh, Brian, I'm never angry. Well, then you're not fully alive. If you can look at everything going on in the world today and say, oh, I never get angry, you're a sham. You're a sham. And you need 20-second victories more than any of the rest of us. So don't get down on yourself. Enlightenment means fully embraced in the now. And there are some things, when you look at some of the things going on in the news, that we absolutely should be angry about. And then find our own way. Who was it, Gandhi, that said that, make no mistake, he was only interested in himself and how he could cultivate that self through service to others. Another one of my favorite quotes of his, I don't let people walk through my mind with dirty feet. Now, you and I, if a sense of anger comes, we throw it in front of the grand jury. All right, what am I getting angry about? Maybe there's a reason that I should be angry. Doesn't mean I have to act on that anger. Doesn't mean I have to punch a hole in the wall. Right? Doesn't mean I have to be involved in some incident of road rage. But we take the good with the bad. We take the discomfort. Oh, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to go there, Brian. You see people put their hands up. Well, I don't want to go there, Brian. And if you say, well, I don't want to go there, that's exactly where you need to go. Now, you don't need to go ballistic once you're there. But look at the emotion. The emotions, and people say all the time, and I started this by saying I got an email from someone the other day. They talk about, well, you know, sometimes this emotion or that emotion. Emotions are just telegrams. That's all they are. You're not your emotions. An emotion is a telegram from your subconscious going, hey, there's something up here. And when that emotion bubbles up, hello, telegram, Mr. Brawdy. Anybody home? Registered letter. Would you like to sign for it? That's all it is a telegram. It's your subconscious going, hey, you know what? Something's tweaking me here. I don't know what it is really. But let's take some time to bring our best focus to it. Our best focus. So let's breathe in, exhale, scan the situation. What's being sent to my conscious mind? And then I'll think. Then I'll talk. Then I'll take appropriate action. But we don't have to run around beating up on ourselves. Oh, I was doing really good, Bri, and I had all this, and then I just fell off the wagon last week. So I was here doing something. I would tell you, I was the other thing. I was over at the grocery store the other day. Someone busy yammering on his cell phone, cut right in front of me. Right in front of me. And I stopped and I put my hands, I kind of like shrugged my shoulders, put my hands up and go, what? You didn't see me right here? Oh, I'm sorry, I was on a call. Oh, really? But in that moment, I could have just waited, let her move on by. So this whole concept that enlightenment means you're no longer going to be impeccably human, another sham. Some more snake oil. Give me another shot. You can be your own best friend. You can be thrilled with who you are by celebrating the light and the dark, some of the good and some of the not so good. But just because we get ticked, right? Just because something tweaks us in the moment, it's just our subconscious sending us a telegram. The lady in the grocery store? Oh, I wasn't even going to say it was lady. Forget that. The person talking on the phone in the grocery store cut in front of me. I got back out to the car and I go, okay, what was it specifically about that person cutting in front of me that made me go, what? I'm right here. The thought that came was, well, how am I blocking myself? How am I busy being distracted by something else blocking my own path? And even though people say don't make it about you, I love making it all about me. If I get a telegram and I'm ticked about something, 9.9 times out of 10, I'm not ticked at the person. I'm subconsciously ticked at something that I'm doing that person just reminds me of. I love making this all about me. And so should you. And people go, oh, it's always got to be about you? Yes. In fact, yes, it does. In this particular instance. If something tweaks us, let's throw it in front of the grand jury. We get a telegram, we sign for it, go, why did that tick me off? Why did I get all worked up about that? We don't have to beat ourselves up because we were human, because we accepted the telegram. What are we supposed to do? Oh, I want to be comfortable. I don't accept any nasty grams. Well, I do. I want to take the good with the bad. That's what it means to be impeccably human. That's what it means to be fully optimized. We're supposed to turn our back on huge portions of ourselves, what our emotions are doing to us. We turn our backs on that because, we want to be enlightened. We want to always be happy. We want a smile on our face. Really? So you're just going to put a huge chunk of yourself up for adoption? You and I know better. And I wanted to get to this real quick, and then I also was dedicating today's show, and I want to mention that, and I'm already starting to run out of time. But here's the scoop. I love this concept of being in the flow. But as I said in the opening, we were going to talk about go with the flow, but dig the eddies. If you've ever watched in a river, there's an obstruction. Let's say there's a rock, and the water, the flow coming down the river hits the rock, and then it spins around on the side, and it creates like a little whirlpool, a little eddy that would not have been there had there not been an obstruction in the water. So yeah, I dig going with the flow, but sometimes the eddies are where it's at. Sometimes the little whirlpools, the rabbit holes, the little things caused by the, quote, disruption. That's where the marrow is. That's where life is. That's where the thrill is. So I guess what I'm saying is, looking for euphoria, don't discount the eddies. Looking for euphoria, don't you dare discount the eddies. Let the obstructions come. Let the uncertainty come. But learn to deal with the eddies, and you'll have a euphoric life. All right. I also want to make mention of this. Don't forget, allnaturalbeing.com. We've got a webinar coming towards the end of the month that I'm really personally excited about. I've waited 30 years to be able to do this, so I'm very excited about that. We'll have more information about that very shortly. And also, I dedicated this show this morning to my good friend Doug Harmon. And I thought the best way to do the dedication is to read exactly what Doug had to say. And he's gone through just an unbelievably tough week. So I wanted, in memory, for both his mom and dad, true philosophical entanglement at its finest. I wanted to read a post. I hope it's okay with Doug. I haven't talked to him about it, but I wanted to read this post from Doug Harmon, who lost both his mom and his dad just this past week. Quote, "It's an epic love story, one of a symbiotic relationship wherein one cannot survive without the other. My mother and father were married 68 and a half years. They had a bond that is rare. They finished each other's sentences. They knew each other's every detail of life. They danced. God, how they loved to dance together. Dad had been suffering from dementia for the last couple of years. His departure was, I hate to say, expected. We had time to prepare. Mom, on the other hand, was a surprise. She was diagnosed on Friday of last week. What a shock. So when Dad left us on Tuesday, Mom couldn't stand to be away from him. She stayed by his side until the end, and then hurried off to be with him for eternity. And Doug closes the post. We love you both. I'm glad you are together again. Till the next time, have a great day.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
All the best, brother, to you and your family.
IPMNation.com.